Okay, so if you remember in the previous class, we were discussing about the hypothesis testing more precisely. So our topic of interest is hypothesis testing through the statistical approach. Am I audible? Can anybody confirm, please?
Yes, sir.
Yes, thank you.
Yes, sir.
And is the screen visible? I have shared a screen.
Yes, yes.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Yes. Okay. So it's been almost a month from our last class. So if you just remember, we started with what is research, need for research, right? Objectives of research. Then research process we discussed. So what is the research process? How actually the research process is out, or how actually design uh, in a systematic way the research. Then in the process, one part was the hypothesis testing or hypothesis formation and validation, right? So now, so our topic will be mainly focusing on the this part only, that we hypothesis testing, that too particularly statistical. So we do examples in the previous class. Let me go through that in a very short, very briefly, right? So the first example we looked at was that of an LED bulb, and the claim or the statement of the problem in this case is a manufacturer of an LED bulb claims that the average power rating of the bulb is 10 watts. So this is the statement, and being a quality inspector or being an end user, right? So how do we check whether the claim made by the manufacturer is right or wrong, right? Whether it is a valid claim or not, right? Similarly, one more example we have identified was on the solid fuel or solid propellant, right? Solid propellant is a fuel is it is a type of fuel which is used in aerospace rocket light application in the, and higher and lower rates are unacceptable. So this is what the statement is, and in both the statements, so the parameter of interest, right? So is the average values. This also we discussed, right? So here, if we have a sample, right? So a population, we select a particular sample, right? Say some few samples out of total available or total manufactured parts, right? Then find out the average and check whether this average, what we have found out, is matching with the claim, right? Is matching with the claim or not. So in both the cases, so there is a population, there are so many samples, there are so many bulbs, right, available. You need to select a particular set of samples for verification, right? Then find out the actual power rating of the bulb by carrying out the experimentation, whatever type of experimentation it is. Then find out the average of the values and check whether it matches with the claim or not. Similarly, the second also, we select a certain sample out of the population, carry out the experimentation to find out the burning rate, then average it and find out whether it is matching with respect to claim or not, right? Ultimately, we are finding out the average values, right, to check the statement, to check the hypothesis. Similarly, another set of example, one is with respect to nylon connector. So an automotive engineer claims that the average pull off force means to take out the connector, right, of two different types of nylon connector is 13 and 13.4 pounds respectively, based on an experiment, right? And what we have to check here, we have to check here do these two connectors truly differ in their average pull-off or force or not? We have two different type of connectors, and the claim is they are different. It requires different pull-off force, right? And we need to check whether it is right or wrong, right? And what actually we are doing here, we are comparing the two types, right? We are comparing two different two different types of connectors here. Similarly, one more similar type of example is that related to the teacher group. Two different groups of teachers of a school are trained by two different methods, method A and method B. It is intended to determine whether the method B is more effective than method A on an average, right? So again, we are comparing the effectiveness of method A and method B here, right? So in the first case, we are comparing the average pull-off force for two different types of connectors, and second one, we are comparing the effectiveness of two different group of teachers who have been trained by method A and method B respectively, right? Then we need to find out whether what is method effective or not. But ultimately, the parameter of interest here is it is the comparison of two different types of two different varieties, two different methods, right? Two different parts, something like that. And coming to one more set of example. So we talked about automatic filling machine. Okay, so you can assume it to be a bottle filling machine, right? So the performance of an automated filling machine is accepted if variation in the filling is less than 0.01 units. Okay. So what is this? Filling machine is there, right? You can imagine Coca-Cola or some aerated drink filling machine, right? You might have seen already somewhere in TV or somewhere how actually the automatic filling machine works. So a row of bottle goes into the machine, and there is a setup where the bottle is filled with the fluid. Then there is a setup which seals the bottle, right? So one such setup is there. So the manufacturer or the end user, right? So to purchase or to sell, to purchase, being an end user, if I want to purchase that particular filling machine, as per the manufacturer, he is claiming that the filling variation, right? So if I want to fill 1 liter, then I can say instead of 1 liter, it may fill either 1.01 meter cubic meter or volume liters, or less than that, that is plus or minus 0.01. That is the variation, right? To check whether the claim is right or wrong, right? And similarly, one more type of such example, it is related to oxide layer on semiconductor wafers. So we usually, semiconductors are manufactured through different varieties, right? N-type, P-type semiconductor, there is a junction, right? So let us not go into the details of that, but let us assume that we have some sample. I have a substrate, right? And I need to deposit some layer, right? Some material on this particular substrate, right? Through some chemical process. So one procedure is to have the substrate, keep it in a chamber and fill it with some gases, mixture of gas, and have some temperature, some procedure, so that through some chemical procedure or some reaction, the atoms in the air mixture, gas mixture, get deposited on the substrate surface, right? So what is the problem here? It is required to determine whether one mixture of gases, right, is superior to another in achieving the lower variability, right? So if I want to have a thickness of say 1 micron, right? 1 micron thickness I need to deposit here, right? So for this I'll be using different set of gases. Set 1, set 2, mixture 1, mixture 2, mixture 3, right? Likewise. So now if I have gases, mixture of gases, right, in first setup and another mixture of gases in second setup, then if I carry out different experiments in this setup, okay, then if I compare the variation, that is, I want to achieve 1 micron, right? Whether I am repeatedly getting 1 micron, right? And if I am not able to get 1 micron, then the variability in that, right, it is, right? So with respect to first gas and set gas, right, second gas, that I have to find out, right? Ultimately, what in the both the experimentation, what I'm going to check, I am going to check the variation, the parameter variation here, right? So first one, the LED bulb, the parameter of interest was average. Then second one, comparison between two, and this third set of example, that is, I am carrying out this particular set of analysis based on the parameter, that is parameter of interest is the variation, right, in the process. Similarly, we also discussed this one more example, an automobile engine controller. A semiconductor manufacturer produces controllers for automobile engines and claims that the proportion of defective controllers does not exceed 0.05. So if he manufactures some 100 components, right? In the first example, if 100 components are manufactured, out of 100, only 0.05 parts of this 100 are defective. So this is what the claim is. If 100 manufactured, then you can say 5 or 5 samples are found to be defective, rest 95%, or you can say the variation or defective parts are 5% out of 100, right, out of the total lot. So in this case, if 100 parts are manufactured, only 5 parts are defective, right? It will not exceed 5. It may be from 0 to 5, but it will not exceed 5. That is what the claim is. Similarly, it is contended that students from different campuses have the same proportion of students preferring a particular soft drink, right? So again, we are talking about proportions here, right? So one proportion group out of one group, a particular proportion of students, right? They are preferring a particular type of soft drinks, right? Right? That is similar to, that is, we need to find whether it is same with the other proportion also, other group and other proportion also. If I have two groups, group 1 and group 2, a proportion of this group, right, a proportion of this group, they prefer some soft drink, and it is same as the second group with the same proportion. So this is what I need to check, right? Ultimately, in essence, what I want to say is, in both this example, what we need to check, we need to check the parameter, the proportion, right? So the parameter of interest is proportion in this group, right? So we have seen example where the parameter of interest was average, second comparison, then variation, then proportion, right? So in coming time, we'll also see some other parameters also, like linear regression or non-linear regression, right? How to analyze that. So we'll be checking out that. But first thing in any hypothesis testing you need to do is you need to identify the parameter of interest. I'll come to that again. And we also said that in general, any statistical test of hypothesis consists of hypothesis or a claim, that is the statement itself, specification of the error that we are willing to tolerate in this decision. Again, we'll be discussing this point in detail now. And other important elements of the test itself, a data set being most important. What type of population is there and how actually you are going to take the sample, right? So that it represents the complete population. That is also important. And we also defined hypothesis. What is hypothesis? A statistical hypothesis is a statement concerning one or more parameters of the population, right? So that is what we have done. All the statements, they have some parameter of interest, and that we need to check. The parameter of interest are average, comparison, variation, and proportion, right? So the statement should contain one such type of parameter that we are going to check, and later on we are going to either accept that or reject that. So to do that, we have two different types of hypothesis that we define. The first one is called as null hypothesis, H0. It is the default or the status quo claim that is assumed to be true if the data does not provide sufficient evidence, right? And complementary to that, we have alternate hypothesis, HA, a suitable complementary hypothesis that one rejects, right? If null hypothesis is rejected in favor of, that is, if I want to reject null hypothesis, then it should be automatically assumed that the alternate hypothesis is accepted, right? So that is what the alternate hypothesis or the complementary part of null hypothesis is, what we call alternate hypothesis. So now other type of hypothesis also we have. So simple complex hypothesis, null hypothesis, alternate hypothesis, logical hypothesis, empirical hypothesis, and statistical hypothesis. So but our interest in this session would be to discuss null hypothesis, how to frame null hypothesis, then how to frame the alternate hypothesis, so that each null and alternate hypothesis can be tested statistically and they are complementary to each other. Okay, so that is what we'll be discussing. So if you just remember, we discussed a few examples in the previous class, how to frame or how to identify, how to frame the alternate hypothesis and null hypothesis for each of the example what we have seen so far, right? So the first one is if LED bulb example, if I take, right, the manufacturer claims that the average power rating of the bulb is 10 watts. So now I need to frame two complementary hypothesis for that. One is null hypothesis, you know, right? Null hypothesis, so denoted by H0, and the alternate hypothesis, and it is HA. So now, as we discussed in our previous lecture, right? So always null hypothesis is having equality sign, right? So you need to define the null hypothesis such that it is always, it will be of equality sign. For example, so in this case, the manufacturer of an LED bulb claims that average power rating of the bulb is 10 watts. So in this case, the null hypothesis, if I take mu as parameter, right, and it is what we call average power rating, right? Average power rating, right? So null hypothesis would be such that yes, the average power rating is 10 watts. So this is what null hypothesis, and to express this, I'll directly say that mu is equal to 10. So this is the null hypothesis. So now, how do we check it? How do I check it? I have to physically go and select a particular sample out of the lot. So if you have some 1000 bulbs, right, and for all the bulb you cannot carry out the testing. That's why we go for statistical method, right? So which will be a representation of complete lot. Right? I'll select a particular sample, say 10 bulbs out of the 1000, right, or 50 bulbs out of the 1000, right? Then I'll carry out experimentation to find out what is the power rating of each of the bulb, right? So what I can do, I can have 10 bulbs. Nice. Each bulb, each sample, I'll test it experimentally and find out the power rating of it. So it is first bulb if I take, and if I find out, so I may come out with some 9.8 watts. Second bulb may have power rating of 10 watts. Third may have 9.9, fourth 9.8, then 10.1, 10.2, 10 watts, 9.5, 10.2, like something 11, right? So likewise, I'll come out with the for each sample, right? For each LED bulb in the sample set, I'll carry out experimentation and I'll find out the average values. Assume that average value comes out to be 10.5 or something, right? So now the null hypothesis is 10, but I am getting 10.5. Then whether I have to accept it or reject it. So that parameter we'll discuss in the coming slides. Now, as of now, we'll assume that. So it is not as per the null hypothesis, as per the claim of the manufacturer, means it is not 10 watts. Then what is the alternate hypothesis should be? There are three possibilities I can write over here. Alternate hypothesis, I can write it as mu is not equal to 10, mu is greater than 10, mu is less than 10, right? These are the three possibilities. If it is not 10 watts, then I can either write alternate hypothesis as mu is not equal to 10, or I can write alternate hypothesis as the mu is greater than 10 or mu is less than 10, right? So now how wisely or how precisely you select the alternate hypothesis. So that is what the concern over is, right? So if you see the manufacturer statement, the manufacturer of an LED bulb claims that the average power rating of the bulb is 10 watts. Now assume that if I state the alternate hypothesis as the first one, alternative hypothesis HA, if I state it as mu is not equal to 10, then what is the conclusion that you are going to do? Whether it is acceptable or rejectable, right? It is not accepted. So in this case, the manufacturer of LED bulb claims that the average power rating of the bulb is 10 watts. How does a quality inspector test this statistically? So although this is right, technically, if you write mu is not equal to 10, this will be okay from technical point of view. Means as a standard, if I take the statement itself, so I can write it as mu is not equal to 10. Either mu is equal to 10 or mu is not equal to 10. But whether it will serve the purpose of testing or not, right? So that has to be discussed over here. So now if I am an end user, right, and if I want to buy this particular set of bulb for my business or my college or my house, right? So how do I check it? I'll check it whether it is 10 watt or whether it is what is the claim of the manufacturer, whether it is right or wrong, right? So if I in depth, if I just analyze it, or if I think logically here, right? So it will be better for me if it is 10 watts, right? If it is 10 watts, I am okay with that. I can buy. It is also still better if it is less than 10 watts, right? I'll be in advantageous phase, right? So I'll not be okay when it is greater than 10 watts, right? So the claim is 10 watts, but if it is less than 10 watts, I'm okay. But I will not buy the product if it is more than 10 watts, right? So this one looks logically okay, technically okay, not equal to 10, but it will not give any precise idea, right? Whether the statement is right or wrong. Okay. So I can write mu is equal to 10 or as null hypothesis. If mu is not equal to 10, right? So mu can be either 10.5 or it can be 9.5 based on the experimentation. If I get two results, right? So if it is 10, right? If it is okay, the claim is okay, no problem. If it is not 10 watts, right? It can be, if it is not 10 watts, it can be either of this. It can be less than or greater than. If it is greater than, I'll not buy because that is not acceptable for me. If it is less than 10 watts, then no problem. It is complementary or it is equal to what null hypothesis itself, right? So now just analysis of this, discussion of this, what I can summarize over here is, so alternate hypothesis, as I said, it should be complementary to the null hypothesis, right? They should be opposite to each other, right? So if I write null hypothesis HA as mu is less than 10, right? So then it is nothing but null hypothesis itself. It is not giving some other results, right, which an end user may take, other decision that some end user may take, right? So that's why, so based on case to case, right, based on the type of requirement, based on criticality of the statement, right? So you need to very carefully frame the alternate hypothesis, right? So in conclusion, so for this particular type of problem, right? So where 10 watts is the critical value, less than 10 watts is okay for it is better, and greater than 10 watts it is not acceptable. Means, so if H naught, right, mu is equal to 10, then HA should be mu is greater than 10. Then only there is a complementary approach, or then only there is a complementary decision that we can take out, or that we can make. We can conclude something. Otherwise, if I write mu is not equal to 10, right, no conclusion can be drawn, right? Or if mu is less than 10, right, then it is nothing but null hypothesis itself, right? Likewise, every statement hypothesis should be carefully analyzed. Then null hypothesis, formation of null hypothesis is very simple because it always has some equality sign in it, right? The criticality, the complexity comes when you define the alternate hypothesis. Okay, so either 10 watts, or it should, if it is 10 watts or below 10 watts, it is acceptable. If it is rejected only if it is greater than 10 watts. That's what the alternate hypothesis should indicate. Similarly, this example also we discussed in the previous class, I think. Solid propellant. So now here also we need to find out the average. I'll take samples, right? I'll 3, 4 samples, and I'll find out the average values. Okay, and some average value I'll come out with, right? So this can be, the average value can be, I can have three possibilities here, right? So it can be equal to 50, right? Or it can be less than 50, some 49.5 is 48, right? Or it can be greater than 50, some say 50.5, 50.4, okay? So there are three possibilities. So now, again, the parameter of interest is the average value, right? This we already know. Parameter of interest is average, right? Then if I define mu, right? You can take any symbol, need not to be mu. You can write anything, matter much. Mu is the average burning rate. Right. Now, what is in this case? What is the null hypothesis? Very easy to frame. H naught mu is 50. Now, what is the alternate hypothesis for this? So last bulb example, if you take, bulb is the average power rating of the bulb is 10 watts, right? So statement is different, and here if you see the statement, so it is clearly given that higher and lower rates are unacceptable. Means, so this is and this one, they are acceptable. Obviously, the alternate hypothesis would be mu is not equal to 50. Here the other possibilities, mu less than 50 and mu greater than 50. So I cannot have these two possibilities because it is clearly stated higher and lower rates are unacceptable. But what happens? So any experimentation you take, there are some associated errors with it, right? Any experimentation, there are some associated error with it. Error may be with respect to the equipment, the experiment, what you are conducting, right? And what are the equipment involved. So there may be error associated with them, right? Mechanical errors, right? Then there may be some environmental factors, okay, temperature variation, some ambient property different, right? So, or there may be human errors, okay, and apart from all this, so we are not testing all this complete population, right? If I have a complete population, we are just taking a sample out of it and testing it, right? So now, if we are not testing all the samples, right, all the samples which are in the population, then if we are taking only sample, then there may be errors in selecting the sample also, right? The sample may not represent the population. Again, there is a chance for error. That's why, although if I say mu is equal to 50, there will be some acceptable limit, right? The acceptable limit may be, though, if the range instead of 50, I may put it as a range 49.5 to 50.1, 50.5, right? In this range, if I get the average, then I may say that the null hypothesis is acceptable, right? So how to set this? Again, we will be discussing it in the coming slides, okay? So let us not worry about that now. But don't say always, if I say 50, always there should be some provision for variability due to the factors that I just explained you, right? So there will be 49.5, I may accept it as the mu is equal to 50 itself, right? Based on some parameters. How to take decision on that, we'll be coming to that part when we actually go into the problem, okay? So now, as of now, we'll consider that only 50 is exactly if the null hypothesis picture less than, right, higher or lower rates, since they are unacceptable, then if it is more or less than 50, then I have to reject the null hypothesis in favor of alternate hypothesis, right? So only two decisions are possible now, right? If I have, I can either accept this statement if the average value is 50, or I can reject this statement if the average value is either lower or higher than 50, means it is not equal to 50. So now compared to the previous experimentation, based on the criticality of the problem and based on the statement of the problem itself, I cannot have alternate hypothesis in this fashion, right? It is not possible, or it is not recommended also, because based on criticality, you need to logically think whatever the decision I am taking, either null hypothesis or alternate hypothesis, can I make conclusion out of it? And if I make conclusion, does it have a value addition to that, right? So now based on that, so these parameters, these alternate hypothesis should be logically defined, and you need to define it in such a way that you should be able to validate that, okay? So that thing you need to mind, because we are talking statistical hypothesis testing here. There should be a means, there should be some technique to either accept or reject the hypothesis that you have framed, right? You need to be careful in that regard also, right? So we'll discuss those things again in the coming lectures. Okay, then again the nylon connector. So here the parameter of interest is, let us say theta is the parameter of interest, right? So it is the comparison. It is not average now. Last time we had average, right? Now it is comparison. So now what I have to do? So an automotive engineer claims that average pull-off force of two nylon connectors of different wall thickness are 13 and 13.4 pounds respectively, based on an experiment. Do these connectors truly differ in their average pull-off forces, right? You need to verify whether the claim means it is not 13 and 13.4 precisely here. So I need to check out whether the pull-off force of two different connectors are equal or not, okay? I am not going to check whether it is equal to 13 and 13.4, right? It is just a result of an experiment, okay? So, but our comparison or our result or our hypothesis testing should not depend upon the fact that the result of an experiment on 13 and 13.4, and we have to check whether for all samples it is 13 and 13.4 respectively. It is not here. We are just comparing, right, the pull-off force for two different types of connectors and we are saying whether they are equal or not. Equal to 13 and 13.4 is not the interest, right? Is not a parameter that we are going to check. We are going to check whether it is equal or not. For example, if I have connector 1, right, connector 1 and connector 2. So I'll take some 10 samples of each, some 5 samples, let us say, right? And I'll check the pull-up force for each of them. Connector 1, the first one may be 13, then 13.4, 13.5, 13.6, 13.1, some pull-up force I get, and average is some 13.4 something. It is not mathematically calculated. And the second connector may have 14, 14.1, 13.4, 13.6, 13.8 something, and if I take the average, it may range some 13.8, right? So now this is the average pull-up force for connector 1 and average pull-up force for connector 2. Now what is what I have to compare now? What I have to verify? The average pull-up force for connector 1 and average pull-up force of connector 2, whether they are equal or not. That is what I have to identify. I have to verify with this particular statement. So based on that, so the null hypothesis, I'll say that mu is equal to, or I can say connector, this is mu1 and this is mu2, right? Average pull-up force of connector 1 is mu1 and average pull-up force of connector 2 is mu2. So now based on that, I can say that mu1 is equal to mu2, right? Or last time, if you remember, we did it in another way, is equal to 0, right? Both are in the last class itself. And alternate hypothesis would be mu1 not equal to mu2, or mu1 minus mu2 is not equal to 0, right? So here we are not verifying which is larger, which has more pull-up force compared to other, right? That is not the topic of interest here. What we have to do, we have to check whether mu1 mu2 is equal to 0. If it is equal to 0, then mu1 and mu1 is equal to mu2. If it is not equal to 0, either mu1 is greater than mu2 or mu2 is greater than mu1, right? So that is how we frame the hypothesis for this. Okay, so we had detailed discussion on this. Then let us not waste more time on this. Okay, the next type of example, again it is based on comparison. So two different group of teachers of a school are trained by two different methods, method A and method B. It is intended to determine whether method B is more effective than method A on an average. Now I want you people to write down an hypothesis for this. Okay, and you need to explain me why and what is your observation on this particular example. You will have 5 minutes time. Okay, then I'll randomly call somebody to explain this. Okay, you have 5 minutes time. Write your observations, right? Write your comments with respect to the example. Then write the null hypothesis and alternate hypothesis for the same. Okay, so 5 minutes, I'll be back. Okay, completed. Okay, who completed? Anybody volunteers would like to tell me? Vivek?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, completed?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. What is it? Can you tell me?
Sir, if we assume that there are two different groups of teacher, so group
Okay.
A and group B, if we train by them with method A and B, so we are taking samples from the group of teachers
Okay.
and taking average of both the groups. If average of for the null hypothesis, if mu is the average, then if the average of teachers trained by the method B is greater than the average of the method if teacher trained by the method A.
So, what do you tell me? What is the null hypothesis for this?
Was sir?
Null hypothesis. How do you frame hypothesis?
Sir, if
It's not.
mu is the average,
Okay. Mu
if
is the average.
if it is the average of effective training,
Okay.
if it is greater mu for method B,
Okay. So we need to frame two averages, right? So
yes
let
sir,
us say it is mu A and
mu B,
mu B. Okay. It is for group A,
group A,
method A,
yes sir,
method A, and this is method B.
method, yes sir,
Okay. Then what is H naught?
mu B is greater than mu A,
Mu B is greater than mu A. Okay. What is alternative?
mu B is equal to mu A
Hmm.
and mu B is less than mu A.
Less than mu A. Okay. Okay. Anybody else?
Sir. Hello, sir.
Yeah. Who is this?
Sir,
This is Sampada.
Yes, ma'am.
So we can also frame it like the effectiveness of method A is equal to effectiveness of method B. I mean, in mu A equals to mu B. Can we say like that? This is null hypothesis.
Null hypothesis is mu A is equal to mu B.
Yes.
Okay. Then alternate
then-
hypothesis is
Means in effectiveness they are different. Like
how do you
can
frame? How
interpret
do you
like.
put it? How do you put it?
Uh, uh,
Mu A less than mu B likewise? Can I write like this?
Yes. And even, I mean, if they are not, methods are not equal, then any of the will go. Either
See.
mu A less than mu B or mu A greater than mu B.
If H naught is mu A equal to mu B, then HA may be there are three possibilities. Mu A less than mu B I can write, mu A greater than mu B I can write, and very common, very general, not equal to mu B, right? So I can write
Yes.
three possibilities. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Anybody else? Anybody else?
sir,
Yes, Rahul.
the question says to determine whether method B is more effective.
Method B is more
Method
effective.
B is more effective, then the null hypothesis should be
Yes.
mu B
Greater than mu A.
greater than mu A.
Mu A. Okay. What
And
is
the
alternative?
alternate hypothesis is mu B less than equal to mu A.
Less than or equal to mu A. Okay. Okay. Anybody else? Any other answers? Any other additions, suggestions on this?
Hello, sir.
Yeah. Who is this one?
Sir, Prajakta here.
Yeah. Go on, ma'am, please.
It is said as on an average, but the question says that which statistical procedure. So can we take CV as well, like coefficient of variation, which gives more accurate value?
Madam, we'll come to that part. Okay.
Okay.
Errors, coefficient of whatever other technical terms are there, actual methods are there. We'll come to that later. So
Okay.
this is a general discussion. So we can take, right, error associated, then distribution, factor analysis. So many things will come, but let us not worry about those things now. So how do
Okay.
you state the hypothesis? That's all. Very simple question.
Okay. Okay.
Any Prajakta ma'am, you are telling something. What do you think out of these three, which is right?
The null hypothesis. Average. This is what it is stated in it.
So you are saying that this is right.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Anybody else?
Sir, I'm Rahul Patil, and in
Yes.
my opinion, because null hypothesis thesis is somewhat there is no correlation between the two terms,
Okay.
or we have no connection in between the two terms. So if method A and E equal method A and method B equals, we cannot find the correlation between the two. But the in other alternative hypothesis, we can clearly find out that if method B is greater than method A, then it is more effective, or the other part can be it is less than method A. In that way, we can work.
Okay. You tell me how to state then H naught and HA.
I find out in terms of in null hypothesis. Earlier, means I decided that if the method A and method B same as the second column what you had written, sir.
This
If
one.
the method A is equals to method B, in that condition we cannot find a correlation in between the two.
See, I'm not getting your point, Rahul. Whether you are saying that this is not right?
The second column is, in my opinion, sir, second column is right. I hope so. Yeah.
Okay, this one.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. What about alternative hypothesis for this? There are three possibilities I have written. What do you
Yes.
think? Which one should I put it as alternate hypothesis?
Alternate hypothesis, method B should be greater than method A.
Method means method A is less than method B.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
This one.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. Anybody else? Okay. Vivek, you're there?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. See, Vivek, not only to you, for everyone. So always try to put null hypothesis in a equality sign. Okay.
Yes, sir.
And whatever you told, it is right. Right. This is okay. But always null hypothesis should have equality sign. Right.
Yes,
So
sir. Yes.
either it may accept the statement or reject. Doesn't matter. Don't worry about that. Okay. So always we prefer or we state the null hypothesis. For example, in this case, so it should have equality sign like this. So,
Yes.
but the actual statement, what we are discussing over here, or what we are checking is, it is actually in alignment with alternate hypothesis, right? So if you
Yes.
just if you compare the previous example, what we did, right? So we set up the null hypothesis in accordance with the statement what it is there. For example, L so we used equality sign, and if null hypothesis is accepted, then statement was right. Similarly, the second one, solid propellant. mu is equal to 50 there also. For LED mu is equal to 10, then mu is equal to 50. If it is not 50, then reject, right? Then go to alternate hypothesis. But in this case particularly, if I want to practice, if I want to continue my practice of putting null hypothesis with equality sign, then I should have mu A is equal to mu B, right? This should be the null hypothesis. But if you just see the null hypothesis and the statement of the problem, right? So they are not matching. If the null hypothesis is accepted, then the statement has to be rejected. Okay, so these things you need to observe here, but it need in general always go with null hypothesis with the equality sign, right? So
Yes.
then either it may align with the statement or it doesn't align with the statement. That is not of importance. You can have alternate hypothesis accepted and the statement to be accepted also, right? If null hypothesis is rejected, and you can frame alternate hypothesis in complementary, means which is complementary to the null hypothesis, but it may align with the statement of the problem, right? That is what happening in this case. So what is given, two different group of teachers of school are trained by two different methods, method A and method B. Okay, it is intended to determine whether method B is more effective than method A on an average, right? Means, so method B is greater than method A. So this is what we need to check. If this is accepted, then the statement is true. Statement is yes, the method B is more effective than method A. That is we can conclude. But it cannot be H0. It cannot be H0. It should be alternative hypothesis, right? What will be the null hypothesis? Let us assume that both the methods are equally effective, right? So let us assume that both the methods are equally effective. If both the methods are equally effective, then this statement will not hold good. Then if I find out with the statistical analysis or through using some tools, right? If I find out the effectiveness of method A and method B individually, and if I compare them, right? And if I come to know that if method A is not equal to method B, right? Then comes the question, if this is rejected, then comes the question, what is the alternate? The alternate is not equal, right? Greater than and less than. But to hold this statement, I need to frame the null hypothesis such that method B is greater than method A or method A is less than method B. This will become the alternate hypothesis here, right? So that's what I'm telling. So each case, right, each type of example will vary. You cannot have a common procedure or common set of rules for forming the hypothesis here. The hypothesis formation is very critical part in any statement or any research statistical analysis, right? But it should be stated, it should be formed based on some criteria and not based on some set of rules, right? So, but as a rule, as a general procedure, we always state the null hypothesis H0 with equality sign, right? So this equality sign, if I frame the rule with this equality sign, it may either support the statement or it may not support the statement. That you need not to worry. But always frame null hypothesis with equality sign. Then go for alternate. If that is not true, then what is the requirement, right? That is how we should analyze. And for this case, so this is what the hypothesis, null and alternate hypothesis would be, right? So H0 is mu A equal to mu B, means both the methods are equally effective. The statement what is been given here, it is not true. If they are not effective, right? If they are not effective, then we need to check that whether method B is effective over method A or not, right? So for that, I need to frame alternate hypothesis as either I can write down mu A less than mu B, right? So or mu B greater than mu A, both are same, right? So in any way you can frame the alternate and null hypothesis, and you should be able to test that. So it should be not like you frame something and there is no precise procedure to test that, right? So you need to take care of that parameter also, whatever you are framing, whatever you are stating over here, whether it can be statistically tested or not. Okay, so those things need to be understood. Okay, yes, yes.
Sir, the actual words or wording of the statement is also important while framing the hypothesis.
Yes,
relation is more important. Means
see, you can state it, then that statement should have the relation what you give, right? That should be tested. That can be tested. That facility you should have. I can say that if you take the LED bulb example itself, right? So I can have equal to 50 or equal to 10, not equal to 10. Okay. Then based on that, how do you state that the average power rating of the bulb is equal to 10 watts, and it is in accordance with the statement of the problem. Alternate hypothesis, average rating is not equal to 10 watts, right? And it is, and the statement of the manufacturer is not true. Likewise, you can frame. Okay. We will more examples. This is just a very beginning step. So we'll check out some examples, and when we actually solve those using statistical tool, you will get more idea about that. Okay.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Thank you.
Yes. Okay. One more example. Okay. So you need to tell me. I will not write over here now. The performance of an automated filling machine is accepted if the variation in filling is less than 0.01. Right. So what statistical test is required to assess the performance of the machine? Okay. So now what is the parameter of interest here? So parameter of interest is the variation, right? So variation is, let us say, some sigma or something, right? It is variation in filling. Okay, so it can be either 0.01 sigma can be less than 0.01, right? Sigma can be less than 0.01, sigma can be greater than 0. Right? These are the four possibilities now. Now you tell me how should I formulate the null hypothesis and alternate hypothesis for this. What should be H0 and what should be HA?
Sigma is equal to 0.01.
Yes, right? Because it should always have the equality sign. So very simple to frame. Sigma is equal to 0.01. Done. Null hypothesis is good. Okay, if we find out the test experimentally, we carry out some test, right? We check the bottle filled, then we find out the average variation. And if the average variation sigma is 0.01, right? Then we assume that it is okay, it is accepted. What should be the alternate hypothesis now?
Sigma less than 0.01.
Sigma less than 0.01. Be careful with your alternate hypothesis. If it is, see, performance of an automated filling machine is accepted if the variation is the critical value, that is 0.01. If it is less than, also it is acceptable. Okay, assume that you need to get a marks of 95, 40 marks to pass the examination, right? Right. So in that case, what will be passing marks? 40, right? You will not say that if I get more than 40 also I'll fail, right? 40 and above is passing mark. Similarly, 0.01 and less than that is acceptable, right? If you write less sigma is equal to 0.01, this statement is true. Again, if sigma is 0 less than 0.01, then also this statement is true. Null hypothesis will hold good in that case also, right? So you cannot write sigma is less than 0.01. Always the alternate hypothesis should be complementary to the null hypothesis, means it should give some other results what we have stated in null hypothesis, right? So it is true only alternate hypothesis will come into picture only when sigma is greater than 0.01 and not equal to, not less than. If it is less than, it is as good as equal to, right? So if you want to buy something, right? For example, if you want to buy a refrigerator, right? And you are getting the refrigerator, your budget is some 50,000 or 20,000 rupees. Okay. And your criteria is I need to have a 4-star refrigerator. Okay. Then what will be the sigma then? Sigma is equal to 4 star. Okay. Then you go to market and you find out that for the same 20,000 rupees, you are getting 5-star refrigerator. Then what will you do? Will you buy it or not? Will you only go for no, I require only 4-star, I don't want 5-star. Will you say that? No, you will go with 5-star. Means, so if it is variation is 0.01, it is acceptable. If it is less than that, then it is better actually. If it is less than that, it is nothing but the null hypothesis itself. They are not complementary to each other. When they are complementary, when the bottle filling efficiency or the variation in filling is, it is greater than 0.01, right? So that is what you need to be very careful in framing the alternate hypothesis. Otherwise, the complete statistical analysis will not have any meaning at all. Okay, you need to be very careful with respect to that. Okay. Okay, so this is H0 is sigma is 0.01 and HA alternate hypothesis is it is more than 0.01. And if I find out with experimentation with some samples, and if I find out the average, right? So if the average is 0.01, I will go with the alternate .08, which is less than 0.01. Then also I go with the null hypothesis itself. Okay, so that is what you need to be careful. Okay, oxide layer. Yes.
So, but for null hypothesis, we have made exactly equal to 0.01, no?
Which one? Null hypothesis is exactly equal to 0.01. Means, see.
Yes. Then wait, how we can go for null hypothesis when the value is 0.008?
That is what I'm telling, ma'am. See, do you understand what is filling machine, automated filling machine?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. See, do you buy milk in your home?
Yes.
Yes, you do buy the milk. How much milk you buy every day?
Say 1 liter.
1 liter. Have you checked whether it is exactly 1 liter always?
No,
or not?
sir.
Okay.
No.
No. If you check it, right? Assume that you are going to check it. Okay. And instead of 1 liter, you are getting some 5% less.
Okay.
Okay, you are getting 5% less. Means
Okay.
995 cc.
Yeah.
It is okay, right? Because there are some errors, some errors are there. Okay. There may be some evaporation, something might have happened, which is not intentional. And in place of 1 liter, 995 cc is okay with you, right? So what if it is 900 ml? Is it okay? If it is instead of 1 liter, if you get 900 ml, 90%
No.
of, is it okay?
No. No.
Okay. Well, assume the complementary situation, right?
Yes.
So where you instead of 1 liter, sometimes you may get 1.1 liter. What will you do? Will you reject it?
No.
That's what I'm telling you. See, in a bottle, right, in a filling station, if the machine can fill the bottle with a variation of 0.01, right, that is okay. If it is less than that, right, if it is filling less than the quantity, right, less than the 0.01, okay, that is what the context of this. Okay.
Okay, so that means it actually depends from case to case, means
Yes,
application
yes.
to application.
Yes, it depends upon
Okay.
to who is actually testing it, right? So whether it is a
Yes.
manufacturer point of view or whether it
Yes.
is a end user point of
Customer.
view, right? So it depends upon that.
Yes. Okay, sir.
Okay,
Thank you.
it is completely, that is what the tricky part is. That's why to make the convenient, make it a little bit convenience, what we do, we always go with equality sign for null hypothesis.
Yeah, null
So it will
hypothesis. Yes, sir.
50% burden it will reduce in thinking.
Yes, sir.
Then
Yes, sir.
based on null hypothesis, we formulate the alternate hypothesis. So there the tricky
Okay,
part
sir.
comes. Okay.
Okay, sir. Got it. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Next class. What is the time? It's already 10:30. Okay. Two examples are there. So let us not discuss this, right? It is again similar to the previous case. I'll give it as an assignment to you after the class. You can work on this and we can come back again during next class. We can discuss this. Okay. So now based on these observations, these analysis, right? So we can come out with a general procedure for formation of hypothesis. Okay. So these are the general procedure. These are the step-by-step procedure, you can say, right? So which are generally used for statistical hypothesis testing. First one is to identify the parameter of interest, right? So if you remember the LED bulb and the solid propellant, so they had the parameter of interest of average value, right? So average of this value is equal to 10, not equal to 10, less than 10, right? Similarly, average of solid propellant is to 50, less than and not equal to 50. They are not acceptable, right? We worked on the average properties. Similarly, the bottle filling machine that is based on the variability, right? So whether there is a variation in the filling of the quantity, some quantity or not, right? Whether there is a variation in the teacher training with effectiveness or not, right? Similarly, we have some other type of parameter of interest. So another one is correlation is there, linear regression, non-linear regression, right? So many parameters will come. So again, after this slide, we'll take one example which is related to the correlation. Okay. First thing is, so any hypothesis, if you have the statement, you need to identify what is the parameter of interest, whether it is an average, variability, comparison, right, correlation, right? So now that is the first step, and based on that step, based on that parameter, you need to identify the null hypothesis H0, right? Always keep in mind, always have frame the null hypothesis with the equality sign, right? Null hypothesis should be always with the equality type of relationship. Why? It will make the burden reduced. It will make the thinking procedure more simpler if I don't adopt this particular type of methodology, right? Then once you have defined the null hypothesis with the equality sign, then think about the alternate hypothesis, which should be complementary to the null hypothesis and which will vary case to case, which will carry who is actually carrying out the analysis, what is the requirement, what is the criticality of the statement, right? So many variables will come. You need to think logically, right? And frame the alternate hypothesis. Alternate hypothesis should be such that it should complement the null hypothesis and it should not be in line with the null hypothesis, right? So for example, LED bulb, right? So 10 watts is the critical value. Average is 10 watts. If it is less than 10 watts, it is okay, maximum is 10 watts. If it is less than 10 watts, it is better. So if you have mu is equal to 10 watts as null hypothesis, alternate hypothesis, you cannot state it as mu is less than 10 watts. That will not serve the purpose. Okay. So you need to say that mu is greater than 10 watts, means both are complementary. We can make a decision out of that, whether to buy the LED bulb or not to buy the LED bulb, whether the statement made by the manufacturer is right or it is wrong, right? So that is how you need to form the alternate hypothesis. It will depend upon case to case analysis and a little bit logical thinking. Then we have different testing methods. That is what we have formed, alternate and null hypothesis. We have a data set. Okay. So we carry out the analysis on the data set. So many mathematical operations we carry out, right? Then depending upon some standard procedures, we make out the decision, right? So now we are up to this particular part, right? So rest of the content of this particular chapter, they deal with the test, data set and decision, right? So what are the tools we have for carrying out the test and what are the tools we have for taking a particular decision, right? So that we'll be learning in the coming lectures. Okay. So we have various different types of test procedures that will give us some idea, right? So taking an average is also a type of test. Average, it is a type of test, right? Likewise, to minimize the error, right? So we have some predefined principles, predefined test methods that we'll be using, right? Then we need to have the rejection criteria also, right? So for example, the fuel burning, right? So we said that the statement, we can accept the null hypothesis if it is equal to 50 value 50 units, right? If 50 means whether it should be exactly 50 or we can set some variation in that. We can give some allowance for that, right? So that is what we are will be discussing in this set part, right? So again, we have some methods, some techniques for that based on what is the criticality of the analysis, right? We set some rejection criteria. Then we take a decision whether the value fits in the rejection criteria or it fits in the acceptance criteria, right? So that is what the complete procedure for hypothesis testing is. Now, if I take one example itself, right? For certain application, the solid fuel example itself. So first step is to identify the parameter of interest. So here in this case, the parameter of interest is the average, because the average value should have 50 centimeter per second burning value, right? Then we say this as mu, right? Now we state the null hypothesis, mu is equal to 50, right? Then alternate hypothesis will come into picture when this is not true, that is mu is not equal to 50 because higher and lower rates are not acceptable. Then test the statistics. How do we test? We take complete population, then particular sample.
We are not able to see your presentation.
Is it not visible presentation?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Sorry, I'll check. Now is it visible?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Yes, sir.
Oh, it is still this slide. Was it visible or earlier it went out?
I think general procedure slide you are there, but after that we
Okay.
understand.
Okay. So this is the general procedure. Now, if I take an example of again solid fuel itself, right? Now, how do I apply this general procedure for this particular problem? So as I told you, first identify the parameter of interest. In this case, it is the average value, right? And I'll state it as mu, right? Then alternate null hypothesis and alternate hypothesis I need to frame. So we already discussed about this. The null hypothesis is mu is equal to 50 because null hypothesis should always have equality sign. So I am making it equal to 50, right? So then alternate hypothesis should be mu is not equal to 50. Why not equal to 50? Because higher and lower rates are unacceptable. That's why I need to go with the not equal to. If it is lower also not acceptable, higher also not acceptable. Then test statistic. So I have the data, right? So I have complete sample population. Out of this, I select a sample of few specimens, and I test it and find out the average value, right? So that is what we call. We have different methods. We'll discuss that later. Then set the rejection criteria, right? So I have H naught is mu is equal to 50. 50 means should I have 50 plus or minus 1, right? Or 50 plus or minus 0.5, right? So this is the variation that I am allowing due to the errors, right? So again, how to select this variation, how to set this, we have different procedures for that. We have different methods for that. We'll discuss that later. But as of now, for time being, I'll say that I'll set the criteria as 50, 50 plus or minus 0.5. Means it can vary from 49.5 to 50.5. So this is the range I am allowing for the null hypothesis. Now, if the average value is 49.8, right? Again, which falls within the range, then the null hypothesis is accepted, right? So if it is 49.9, then again accepted. If it is 50.3, then again accepted. If it goes beyond that 50.6, then alternate hypothesis will come into picture. I'll reject the null hypothesis in favor of the alternate hypothesis, right? So this is how the complete statistical analysis of hypothesis testing is carried out, right? So most critical point in this particular analysis is how do you frame the null hypothesis and how do you frame the alternate hypothesis. So that is what the critical part is, and rest of the things what we have, rest of these three steps what we have, that is again purely statistical and mathematical calculations, applying some principles and coming to a decision. Okay, so that is what the complete procedure is. Now, one important method or one important category in hypothesis testing is linear regression. Okay, so how do we carry out hypothesis testing for linear regression, or where the parameter of interest is linear regression, right? So we had seen average, we had seen variation, comparison, right? So now one more such type of topic of interest, parameter of interest is the linear regression, and how to carry out analysis such type of examples. So we'll see one or two examples on that. Then we'll wind up today's class. Okay. Do you need any break? 2-3 minutes. If you want, you can tell me before starting this part. No break? Not. Okay. Okay. I have two examples over here. Just read the example and let us discuss one of the example, and let us have a discussion on that, right? So first example is it is related to some physical attribute. So one statement, right, in a particular part of the world, it is that finger length of a human has a relation with the cranial circumference. Cranial circumference means the circumference of the skull, circumference of the head. Okay, so some believe, some part of the world they believe that, so it is related to the length of the human finger, right? Finger length is proportional, right? You can say it has some linear relation with the circumference of the skull. That is the statement. Now, how do you analyze this? How do you frame hypothesis? How do you frame test statistic, then how do you carry out the analysis and how do you find the relationship? So one way of carrying out it is going in a biological way where we actually find out the values, right? Then see whether it is related or not, and other ways to find out it statistically, right? Similarly, one more example is highway mileage, engine capacity, right? So in an automobile study, it is promised that highway mileage is a linear function of the engine capacity. Means, so mileage depends upon the engine capacity. If it is a 100cc bike, okay, so mileage is some X, right? Some 80 kilometer per liter, right? And it is 150cc, the mileage will reduce to some 60 kilometer. If it is 200cc engine, the mileage will reduce to some 30-40 kilometer per liter, right? So means we know as the engine capacity increases, the mileage of the automobile decreases. That is a known fact. Okay, but how do you prove this on fact, right? So both are based on linear regression methods, right? So we need to carry out linear regression, then find out whether the stated attributes, right? Whether the stated parameters, whether they are linearly related to each other or not. Okay, so let us take the first example of physical attribute and let us try to analyze, let us try to formulate the hypothesis as well as test statistic for this particular type of problem. Okay. So what is linear regression? Do you have any idea?
Where the relationship can be set by the linear line equation.
Okay. Okay, right. I'll just share one more screen with you. It will be better. Is it visible? Is the screen visible? I have brought in a data set.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so this is one data set, a random data set. It doesn't have any meaning. It is randomly generated data set for some understanding purpose. Okay, so related to this particular problem, so I have one data set, right? So thousands of population, I have selected 20 samples, 20 people to check this particular belief, whether the stated statement, whether it is true or false, right? So sample number is there 1 to 20. Then we have measured finger length in centimeter. Okay, then circumference in centimeter. So this is the data set. Now, using this data set, I need to state whether this particular statement is true or false, right? So in the previous examples, if you remember, so we had a direct approach, right? So find out the and average is equal to the given quantity, then accept, otherwise reject, right? Similarly, comparison. So switch one or nylon switch, nylon coupler 1 and 2, right? So they have average pull of force equal to each other or not, right? So very straightforward analysis. So find out the average, and if it is equal, then accept. If it is there is a variation, then reject, right? Similarly, comparison between two training methods, right? Find out the effectiveness through some feedback analysis, something you have data set, and find out the average values, compare them, and give the results. But here in the statement also there is no particular parameter given, right, to which we can go for comparison, right? So but what is the parameter of interest here is, so they are saying that, so these two values, finger length and circumference, they have a linear relationship, right? So means if one varies, other automatically changes with respect to the proportion, right? So if I say this as variable 1 x and this as variable y, all right? So if I say x is dependent variable and y becomes the dependent variable, which is dependent on x, which is dependent on x, right? So circumference varies with the finger length. Finger length, whatever may be the finger length. If I have finger length of 6.1 centimeter, don't go with the actual quantities. This is a general random data. It is not taken from some anywhere. I have randomly generated this. So 6.1 is the then circumference is 42. Similarly, 5.9 is the finger length, the circumference is 41. For 5.3 we have 43, 6.1 again 41, right? So these are the sample. Now we need to prove does these two values have a linear relationship or not? That is what we need to prove. So how do you prove this? What is your method? How do you to prove this particular, whether they have linear relationship or not? Any suggestions, any ideas?
We have to plot graph, sir.
We have to plot graph. So something like this. X, Y, something like this, right?
Yes,
Then
yes,
put the values, right? Plot the values, each value, X and Y. Then we need to fit a line, right? And find out the slope of the line, right?
yes,
So
sir.
slope and intercept, and based on the slope, we can easily say that whether the variation is dependent or not, right? So
Yes.
very simple approach again, right? Plot the graph and find out the slope, or fit a equation for this line, right? And based on the equation will be having a form like this: b naught plus b1x, right? Where b naught is a constant and b1 is the slope, right? This everybody knows, right? Basic mathematics. So now it is said that if b1 is equal to 0, right? If b1 is equal to 0, then we said that there is a linear relationship. Right? If b1 is 0, means if the slope is 0, right? If the slope is 0, then we say that there is a linear relationship between the dependent and independent variables. And if b1 is not equal to 0, then we say that there is no linear relationship. Okay, so now this is what the hypothesis would be for this particular case. Okay, so now how do I form the hypothesis for this? So I need to plot this, I need to find out the slope, right? I need to fit a linear equation. These are random data, they'll not be always on a straight line. There will not be any exact straight line equation, straight line you are going to get, right? So the curve wouldn't be straight line, but you need to fit a straight line, then find out the equation of the straight line, right? Correlation of the parameters. Then in that correlation, right? So if you have the slope equal to 0, then I say that there is a linear relationship. If their slope is not equal to 0, then I say that there is no linear relationship. So now in context to this particular statement, if I plot a graph of these values, right, and if I fit a linear or straight line, right, if I fit a straight line, then if I find out the slope, and if the slope is 0, then I say that there is a linear relationship and the statement is right. If I find out that the slope is not equal to 0, then I'm going to reject this, right? So this is how the hypothesis can be framed for this particular statement or problem here, right? Now, how do we do this? I'll just show you in a very, I can plot this in Excel. I'll just share one more screen. Is it visible?
Yes.
Now, yes.
Yes.
Is the Excel sheet visible?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
This is the data, right? This is the data set I have, and I have plotted a scatter plot, right? I have inserted a scatter graph for this, and these yellow dots, what you can see, so they are the values, or they are the plots for each sample. And out of this, I have fitted a linear line, right? And the equation for this particular graph is y is equal to 0.2726x plus 39.926, something like this, right? So in this, what is B naught? So this is B naught constant, and this value is B1, means this is what we have, the slope. Okay, so now for this value, the slope is 0.2726, but we said that slope should be equal to 0 to have the linear relationship, right? So since the slope is not equal to 0, right, I can say in this case slope is B1 is not equal to 0, means the statement what they have made, this is wrong. There is no linear relationship which can relate the finger length with the circumference of the head, right? So this is how the such a type of problem should be solved. Okay, so now if you have one more, okay, see, so I have varied the values again, and now in this case I am getting value of B1 slope as 1.3364. Okay, and in this case the value of slope is here B1 0.2766. Okay, now again you need to set the rejection criteria here, right? So whether you are going to B1 is equal to 0, right? 0 is whether it may range from minus 0.252 plus 0.25, right? If this is the range you are setting, and if you are considering it is equal to 0, then this will hold good. This will say that you need to accept the null hypothesis, right? So it can always, it never be equal to 0 because of so many errors associated. And how do you fit the line? Okay, so you have so much variation in the values, right? So that's why you cannot have the slope of value of the slope equal to 0. It is not possible at all. So what you have to do, you have to put a range, right? You have to set a range which you set point, then this value is acceptable and you can come out with decision that this particular equation is true. This particular equation is true, right? So now this is one example which is related to the linear regression. Okay. So such more examples we will be learning in coming classes, right? So this is just as a demonstration I have given you. So I have one more such example, and the data set for this is given in the Google Drive. You can just check out the Google Drive. I'll show you once. Did everybody get the mail I sent you in the morning?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes. And see, who is Vishnu and Vishnu Pant? See, you need
Yes,
to
sir.
use,
I'm not getting access, sir.
yeah, you need to use SIT email ID to access this.
Yes, sir. I use the same, sir.
Okay, no, you are using Gmail. Gmail will not work.
Okay, sir.
Okay, please note, everyone should have their account changed to SIT email ID. It is accessible only through SIT email ID. Okay, otherwise you cannot access this. Okay, so this is the folder. I will be updating the details, data sets, whatever required with respect to this particular course, right, in the same folder. Okay, you can keep checking. So I have included R software for this. It is compatible with Windows 10 64-bit. Okay, you can install if you want. And I have included two data sets, chemical process and solid fuel. Okay, so now what I want to do is after this class, you need to download this. Okay, data set, plot the graph, data is given, question is given, consider the data obtained from a chemical process where the yield of the process is thought to be related to the reaction temperature. Means reaction temperature, depending upon the reaction temperature, yield of the chemical process is changing in a linear way. You need to find out whether this particular statement is true or false. What you have to do, you have to plot a graph of this value, these values, right? You know how to plot a graph in Excel?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Then fit a linear relationship to the graph, find out the equation, find out the slope, and with hypothesis, framing null hypothesis and alternative hypothesis, you need to give a decision whether the stated statement is true or false, right? Similarly, I have a solid fuel. Don't worry about this. It is required for next class. I've just given, right? So this is one assignment. You need to finish it today itself. Okay, and you can mail me the assignment. And along with that, I have one more work for you for today's class. I'll share that also. Okay. Okay, check the messages. Check the message.